You're back with us in the paddock at Sepang, just outside of Kuala Lumpur, where Michael Schumacher has won the Malaysian Grand Prix. But it is great to see Jenson Button up there on the podium behind Juan Pablo Montoya. Very committed drive indeed from the Colombian too. Barrichello fourth, Trulli fifth in the Renault. David Coulthard scoring for McLaren. Alonso down in seventh. He'd have wanted more than that. Massa eighth. We go straight to the press conference.
Congratulations to our first three finishers. In third place, to Lucky Strike BAR Hondas, Jenson Button scoring his first ever podium. Second for BMW Williams, Juan Pablo Montoya, and scoring his 72nd career win for Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro, Michael Schumacher. Michael, you thought it might be more difficult here. It looked pretty tense on occasions, a little bit early in the race. After the stops, Juan Pablo put a bit of pressure on you, but ultimately another great win.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, in the moments where we needed to be quick, we were just quick enough. In the beginning of the stint and in the end of the stint. But the beginning of the race was very tough, as it was sort of unpredictable where the water is and how much is there. Being the first car, having no reference, didn't really help, so I had to be cautious. And at the same time, be careful of Juan not to give an opportunity. And then each time after the pit stops and before the pit stops, it sort of opened up and closed down quite rapidly at stages. So it was really until the end a tough fight, and it wasn't granted at all until the end.
Was it a hard race? We talked about the heat. Obviously it wasn't quite as hot today, but it was pressure all the way.
It was pressure all the way, and Malaysia as a circuit is a tough circuit. It is hot enough still to make it a hard race. It would have been even harder having the sunshine on. But I didn't mind not the sun to have, and I guess my colleagues too.
Thank you. Juan Pablo, you set fastest lap after your second stop. You were able to put pressure on Michael at various stages of the race. Talk us through the day from your point of view.
But I think it went pretty well. And in the first few laps, I got in front of Rubens. He made a mistake in the dump. Then he was trying to catch Michael all day, and towards the end of the race, the car got better. Tires were getting just better and better and better. And I came out of the last stop, and, it was a shame I came out behind Rubens. I went to pass him straight away. He blocked me, and, I thought, knowing Ferrari, it's better to back off than try to, it's better go home with the 8 points than out of the race.
You did get close to Michael. How do you feel the two cars compare? Do you think we've got a championship here?
Well, it's very hard to say, I think it's very early days. The car still needs quite a bit of work because the idea is not to try to be at their level, but above, really. And to be above, you gotta... you need to have a car that is consistent enough to win everywhere. And they have the car. We're close some places, but we still need to do quite a lot of work. But, the guys did a very good job here.
Thanks, Juan Pablo. Jenson, you must feel elated. The moment is yours. Talk us through your emotions.
Amazing. It's as much the team's as mine. They've worked so hard for this. It's obviously not the pinnacle of what we want, but it's a good step in the right direction. So I'm ecstatic, and I can't wait to get back to the team and to congratulate them.
You did a superb job throughout the race. A little bit of a race there with Jarno Trulli early on, and then I guess late in the race when your teammate's engine went, that might have been a bit of a worry as well.
It was a little bit, yes. But I also touched Jarno after the start. We hit wheels on the straight, so. That was a little worrying, because I thought something might be wrong, but everything felt fine. And I had a good fight with him for the first few laps in the damp conditions, and it was great to have a gap to the car behind me, because here in the last 2 years I've had cars breathing down my necks on the last lap. So it's nice to have a bit of a gap.
Fantastic. Michael, couldn't help but notice that you were able to get the exact right beat at the end of the Italian national anthem there on the podium. A lot of practice now. How do you see the season progressing? It must be quite difficult leading the championship as you are now. Where do you go from here? How do you stay on top?
No, I think it's easier to lead the championship from the position we are than to come from where we had to come last year. But no doubt, it's only 2 out of 18 races, 16 to go. And we all know how quick development can be for various teams. And I think it's going to be a hard year, honestly. We have... another tough race to come in Bahrain. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen there, what sort of characteristic it is, who it favors, and what's going to happen in the meantime with development for the various teams. But the sort of difficulties we have had in the past here, in specific with our tyres, I have to say Bridgestone have done a fantastic job with that to overcome that and to compete in such condition, which is sort of extreme condition. And I'm really happy for them that they have fought their way back and we are where we are.
Extreme conditions do not seem to bother Mr. Schumacher. 20 out of 20 in F1 2004. Rubens Barrichello 13 in the second Ferrari. Montoya up into double figures in the Williams as well. Jenson Button fourth in the championship. 9 points for BAR, confirming the excellent form they showed in winter testing. Then the two Renaults who probably expected more here today, Alonso and Trulli. Ralf Schumacher breaking down in the Williams today on 5 points, and David Coulthard 4 for McLaren. And in the constructors, as you might imagine, Ferrari have swept the board in recent years. 33 points. Williams have 17. Renault 14. BAR on 9. McLaren will not be happy when they look at that, in 5th place with 4 points. And Sauber, this is their home Grand Prix, effectively have just the one. Tony Jardine, let's check it out. The start of the Malaysian Grand Prix. We were all looking at Mark Webber in the Jaguar, and Webber didn't go, did he?
He didn't, but he starred in this Grand Prix. It's been hugely entertaining. It's been quite dramatic, both at the front with Juan Pablo closing. But just look at this clutch drag problem which they had. They slow started in Australia. They ultimately had a transmission problem where they lost 2 gears. And Webber, from running 8th, had to drop out of that race. He dropped out of this one too. You see him just squeezing past Alonso there as he managed to get some clutch bite. Now this is from Alonso, from the back row. Look at him. We said before the race he might get past 5 cars. He didn't. He got past 7 cars. This is a bit, he squeezes down the inside here. He's going up to turn 1, round the outside. Now look at Webber. Whoom, straight past there. And Webber was very aggressive, and he didn't do himself any harm today. So Frank Williams would have loved Mark Webber's performance today. I
think Ralf Schumacher said to Louise he felt Mark was too aggressive at times, but the two of them, I mean, they clashed, and Mark Webber came off worse, but it also affected Ralf too, I think.
Well, I think we should remember that Ralf also said Juan Pablo was too aggressive in Australia. He was too aggressive with you in the football. He said, don't come too close to me. You remember that, and there you are. I think, you know, Mark intimated there after he got the hit, look at that, the shards, the puncture in the right rear from that clash with Ralf Schumacher, that Ralf was just probably very, very angry. And then it all ends later on, going into turn 15, a huge broadside there from Mark Webber, and out he's gone. Interestingly, the problem they had all last year was wearing out the rear tyres. This circuit is very, very tough on the rears because it's a big traction circuit, and ultimately that's what caused his demise.
But he's laid down a big marker here, hasn't he, Mark Webber?
There's no question. We've been impressed with him for the last couple of years, but now he's grooming himself so well. He's an absolute star of the future. I would fully endorse him going to Williams next year.
Ralf Schumacher, whether he will be there at Williams next year, we're not sure, but he won't want many more races like this one. And after the clash with Webber, the Williams blew up, and we don't often see that, do we?
We don't. This engine, the 2004 BMW engine, was running the earliest of all the new generation Formula One engines. There's a man called Heinz Passion at BMW who does an absolutely brilliant job. He will be distraught because they are bulletproof. They've run and run and run. They've never restricted their drivers in the first 2 events on how many laps they can do. The Germans are very, very proud of that, and they're going to be very upset, and there'll be a huge investigation.
McLaren came here stunned by their failure in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago. They really wanted a good performance here. Raikkonen, last year's winner, didn't last the course again.
The weakness is the engine. That is the biggest weakness, in my opinion, because they seem to have fixed the problems, the nervous problems, apart from the tyres not working at all in Australia. They had a lot of understeer. The car was very nervous. They fixed it with some aerodynamic parts, which they had in Australia but hadn't tested. It is reputed that the engine is down on power by about 50 brake horsepower. As this, don't touch me, says Kimi. He's just got out of that frozen animated thing in his car, disbelief that it stopped, and someone pushes him in the back, say, come this way. And you do lose it with officials who get over-officious.
Yeah, high temperatures and feelings running a bit high. That's very, very understandable. But Jenson Button, this has really been his race certainly as far as we are concerned. And Jenson, I mean, we didn't see that vast amount of him in the race itself, but had a dice with his old teammate Trulli, didn't he, and came through fine in the end. And just he's mixing in the best company now.
He is, but people have said, oh, well, he can't overtake. He was having an absolute ding-dong, as you know, during the race with Trulli. He held position. The team, the BAR team, have truly arrived. Jenson Button has truly arrived. Yes, they had 2 podiums in 2001 with Jacques Villeneuve, one in Germany, one in Spain. That was through default, through people dropping out. They've been there in the frame. Look at that exultation. Taking the cheers and the plaudits from his own team there, who've worked so hard. He has assumed the mantle of team leader so brilliantly, and he's been told by David Richards, the man who's backed him, the team principal, push us hard, tell us what's wrong, don't sit there and take it. This time last year he was moved out of the team briefing by Villeneuve, who said to me, oh, you're in my seat, mate.
Well, I think he's about as good as somebody in a boy band as well, didn't he? Anyway, he's responded to that many times. Jenson Button, the top British driver here today. The top British driver though for years has been David Coulthard. Let's have a word with him.
Okay, well, David, tough race, but you're happy for Jenson, I think.
Yeah, very happy. You know, we get along very well off track, and obviously he's a hard racer on track, as I would be. He's been a little bit quicker in the first 2 races, and it's been close to getting a podium for quite a while now. So I think it's a great day for him and John and the rest of the family. Simone back in Monaco, probably watching it in the Columbus. So yeah, great day for him. Very happy, and I look forward to joining him in a little celebration drink from his bottle of champagne.
You were at Williams when you had your first podium. What's it like?
Yeah, of course it's special. You know, my 8th Grand Prix I finished at the podium, and it was all probably a bit too early to take in. You know, I won my 21st Grand Prix, so it was all happening quite early. But no, it was a great feeling, and yeah, very happy for him.
Columbus, of course, the hotel in Monte Carlo that David Coulthard has quite an interest in. And we heard here last year when Kimi Raikkonen won for McLaren, Ron Dennis was in tears, wasn't he? And he's saying how much the first win meant. How much the first podium mean?
An awful amount, because it's a breakthrough. It's coming from the also rounds to get up there with the gods, and it means it's a little bit easier psychologically next time. It means the team know what to do strategically. It means you know what to do. It's confirmation, the stamp, the FIA approval that you've actually made it. And also, I think, into the bargain here, Jim, the deal with Honda is up at the end of April. I see them absolutely stamping this now, and I see them going with
and that's very important from BAR's
It's very, very
point
important
of view,
indeed.
Let's not forget Ferrari won the Grand Prix here today, and Ferrari are storming away with the championship over the first couple of races. Let's have a word with Ross Brawn, shall we?
Well, Ross, long, hot race for all of us, but a happy one.
Yeah, great race. And I think being able to win it here in some ways means more than Australia because of the conditions. And I think Bridgestone done a fantastic job when you think how much we struggled in these conditions before. It's really, this win's down to them. So, but it was a tough race. I mean, there were times when Juan Pablo was catching us and we couldn't respond. You know, the tyres were good in different parts of the session, and luckily they were very good towards the end of each sector, and Michael was able to build the gap when he needed to.
He looks more exhausted than Michael Schumacher, I think, there does Ross Brawn. Admittedly, there's a bit of a party going on down the paddock at BAR, and not surprisingly either after what Jenson Button has done here today. There's a bit of the old champers flowing. John Button is down there. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We'll get on our toes and have a wander down the paddock, and we'll see you shortly. You're back with us at Sepang, where Michael Schumacher has won the Malaysian Grand Prix in a very decent crowd. They would have hoped for better from Kimi Raikkonen, I would think, and I think we're just about made it into the BAR garage. I think if you follow me along, we're going to make our way in here. We've got David Richards here. David, come and have a swift word with us, could you? Take a deep breath.
Yeah, we are. That's the champagne.
No, I know. Just your thoughts really on what this means to your whole team, because it's fantastic.
Well, I would regard it as another step up the ladder. I think this year we've always thought a lot on the car. Honda done a great job with the engine, onto Michelin tyres, and I've always had great confidence in Jenson's ability, and so to see him on the podium today was great, for his father, for myself.
What was it that always gave you that confidence that Jenson could do it? Because they've had there have been doubters, haven't they?
You've got to put people in the right environment with the right equipment and the right support, and you know, sometimes it works, and in this case I'm sure it's going to continue with Jenson now.
And the fact that he's up there on the podium and he's mixing with the Montoyas and the Michael Schumachers deep down, that's going to give him a huge boost, isn't it?
I think it does. I think it's, you know, it's his first ever podium, remember. So it's been one of those things that's been niggling at him for some years. Ever since he's been in Formula One, why haven't I been on a podium? Great opportunities have always just gone by, but today was the day.
Look, you're the boss round here. Where is he?
Where is he? He's unfortunately.
Give him a shout. Give him a tug. No, he's done his press conference.
We're all scheduled on a flight tonight, but I think we've just cancelled the plane. We're going home tomorrow instead.
I think you're probably we're all going to miss a flight tonight if you're on the early one anyway. And in terms of your Honda engine deal, I would think that what you've done here is going to help you immensely, isn't it?
The president of Honda, Mr. Fukui, was here with us today and shared in everything. So he saw the progress we've been making together. And it is the progress we're making together. It's not just a team. It's not just Jensen. It's Honda as well, and our tyre partners, Michelin.
Sure. Okay. We're going to burrow around in there and see if we can find Jensen. That's okay, is it?
I don't know. Is Jensen in the garage?
I heard he was in the garage. Yeah.
All right. Wander through. I'm sure.
Okay. We'll wander through and find him. Thank you very much indeed. While we pop in there, let's have a word with Fernando Alonso.
Fernando, was it tough driving with that heavy fuel load?
Yeah, it was very tough. You know, the last stint was like 35 laps and was maximum fuel load, all tires, and to keep the concentration with this temperature was tough.
Is 2 points any reward?
It was 2 points, you know, after the mistake from yesterday and after the start from the back. I think it's 2 points for me very important.
Jensen's just got his first podium, of course, up there. First time for a podium you had this year. What's he going to be feeling?
Fantastic. You know, will be a race that is difficult to forget. The first podium, the first feelings in the press conference, etc., etc. And I'm happy with for Jensen because he did a fantastic race.
He did do a fantastic race indeed. I have to tell you, I've had a little rush around the old garage in there, and I can't find Jensen, but the old man John is here. And John,
enough of the old.
You suffer more than Jensen during the races, and when you saw Takuma blowing up there, and did you have a little look and think, is that Jensen?
Well, I think everyone's heart stopped in the garage, just waiting for the name to come up, who it was, and they saw it was Sato. And memories of here a few years ago when Jensen was lying third, if you remember, with 2 laps to go and the suspension broke, and he lost his podium then. So I'm really glad he's got his podium with this team, and I'm sure it's going to lift everyone and move them on to greater things.
Okay, I feel sure that we'll probably have a little chat to him this afternoon in our rerun programme. But how do you think he's going to feel about this deep down?
Oh, massive for him. Really, really will. I'm sure he doesn't show his emotions very much. Takes after his old man, but he will tonight.
Okay, John, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Okay, brilliant. Right, a reminder, there's another chance, as I say, to see the Malaysian Grand Prix, 2 o'clock this afternoon. Highlights just after midnight, and the highlight show repeated tomorrow, ITV2 at 7. What an exciting prospect as well. In a couple of weeks' time, we're going to go racing in the desert. The first Bahrain Grand Prix. They've worked wonders in Bahrain to build the circuit in time for business. It's an exciting new footprint for Formula One in the Gulf. Now, racing in the desert is bound to be hot and dusty, but drivers who have been there, like Marc Genet at Williams, are all very enthusiastic about the sweeping corners, the long straights, and they also say there are plenty of overtaking opportunities. The circuit was officially opened last week, and you can see the first Bahrain Grand Prix only on ITV1 in a fortnight. We're live with the qualifying on the Saturday, and on race day, our coverage starts at 11:40 on Sunday morning. Jensen Button on Speed Sunday, next Sunday at 2. It's election day here in Malaysia. Jensen Button gets my vote. Bye-bye.
Touch me If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by the Daily Telegraph is itv.com/F1.